What you got there, Crazy Dave? What did you say, the 25th of August 2009? Something like that, anyway. This is from Wednesday's August the 19th Daily Express. Shameless, 60% of council house tenants don't pay rent. I'll read a little bit of it. Nearly 2/3 of council housing tenants get all their rent paid by the taxpayer. It was revealed last night. The massive benefits hand out largely to households where no one has a job is costing hard-working middle-income families a total of $10 billion a year. This is equivalent to 476 every year for every privately owned home in Britain. They go on and on and on and on and on and on about housing associations and how 60% of tenants don't pay their own rent and whatnot. The Taxpayers Association and somebody from the Taxpayers Alliance said this is a shocking figure, a massive financial burden on taxpayers and all of that crap, and it goes on and on, yeah, and whatnot and whatever. But what they don't show is these kind of figures. This is from my blog, the top 20 private landlords' payments in Cardiff, and top private landlord gets 432,321. Yeah, that's one landlord. The top 10 of them get between them £1,441,300 a year, and for the total 20 is £2,075.40p. That's between 20 people out of Social Security getting £2 million. But you don't see the old Shameless Daily Express talking about that financial burden to the taxpayer. And it's not as if all these council tenants don't pay tax. We all pay tax in one way, shape or form, whether it's on the electricity bill, the water bill, the gas bill, TV license, your food in the supermarket, clothing, whatever. Everybody's paying tax somewhere. Get that photocopied in somewhere. I've got to pay tax on that. You know, so they don't question this. They're not so hard-working middle-class families. That's what was it? What was the phrase they used? Where is it? The middle income? Somewhere in there. I can't be bothered to read it because it's all bullshit anyway. It's just a hate campaign by the, gutter press. But they won't ask you, excuse me, what's this rent rebates in the general fund that Cardiff County Council has on there? Council tenants thing. Because they don't pay any rent rebates. Central government pays it for them. They just administer the fund. What about the 30 million they're now using as a depreciation? Depreciation sold 10 years ago for a nominal sum of £1 to an housing association. There would be no 30 million depreciation in the account, like there would be no 30 million in the general fund for rent rebates. Now, would there, Mr. Prime Minister? But you don't see the Daily Express investigating Cardiff County Council's method of accounting for their houses. Do you, Crazy Dave? Nope, you don't. So, when they're talking about all of this, you got to look at the not so hard-working middle class who are getting £432,000 out of the benefit culture that the Daily Express doesn't like to talk about. You get the next one's 158 grand. I wouldn't mind 158 grand a year off Social Security for doing a few contracts with a few building societies or banks. Would you, Crazy Dave? No, because most of these people, they're all farmed it out to letting agencies. So the letting agencies are having their cut out of that as well. All goes on to the price of the rents. Now, if these people can all organise that and get all of that paid per annum, I mean, it's 15 million, I've been told. They're not really sure of the figure. Is that housing association or is that just private landlords? The council could have been, if they'd had a look at this crap 20 odd years ago. So why are we paying all these people this money when we could be having our own, that could be going into our own funds, and then any of the tenants in these private landlords accommodation where they're getting this kind of revenue from central government, all those ones that are actually paying rents, well, the council would have had that to increase their property portfolio Now wouldn't they, Crazy Dave? So you wouldn't have a situation where everybody's running around trying to find private landlord accommodation they can afford because you got to wait 6, 8, 10 years for the council to house you? No, the Daily Express doesn't want to investigate that, Dave, does it? Neither does any of the other gutter press that I've sent all my blogs to. Oh, makes me want to puke, this kind of stuff. All they do is want to create hate and all that malarkey, but they won't talk about this. That's just Cardiff. I wonder what the top private landlords get in somewhere like Manchester and Birmingham. What kind of figures are those people earning out of the social security system? But I've contacted these Taxpayers Alliance people, and they didn't understand the dicky bird of what I was trying to explain to them. Had no concept of what rent rebates in the general fund or the rent revenue account referred to. Didn't have a clue. Weren't willing to investigate it. Waste of space. So there we are. When's the Daily Express going to investigate claims surrounding the accounting in Cardiff County Council of their social housing? When are they going to do it for the rest of the country, and when all this shit going to end? You know, if they're stopping your benefit for any reason, maybe you said something naughty to one of their doctors at their Gabalfa clinic or whatever, you're damn lucky if you can get £10 off them to pay for your gas, because they've cut your benefit to the minimal existence level. And you know full well that some guy, probably not even having any influence on his housing, is getting £432,000 a year. I wonder how many of them are earning $5 million a year, Dave, in London or wherever. I bet there's a few of them out of the social security system. And I doubt if all these would have been, you know, when the mines and all the steelworks and all that were all in go, but they don't like to talk about that when they're talking about since the early 80s, the majority of people living in local authority accommodation were in low-income jobs and paid their own rent. Yeah, well, I saw baloney. It's all just done for propagation of let's hate those people, but not true investigations about this kind of spend. So there we go. Daily Express should be ashamed of yourselves. Wonder how many of the employees have got family members who are getting their rents paid. Pity all of them don't go on strike until they stop doing kind of shit like this. But there we go.